Hello. This is a different video from the ones that I usually make on this channel. However, I feel it is important to bring attention to a movement like this. Recently, my friend Zachery partook in a protest with the movement 50-51. This stands for 50 protests in 50 states on one day. This protest is meant to bring attention to the Trump administration's blatant disregard for all of the guardrails that keep the United States project up and running, allowing foreign nationals with ties to enemy states the ability to go through federal buildings and people without any federal training to look through extremely sensitive documents of all Americans. This speech by Zachery, we have worked together in providing these sources for everything he is saying, and links to everybody affiliated with this video are in the description. The video was an excerpt from a live stream recorded by MFTW Media LLC on the 5th of February 2025. I hope you'll give this speech the time of day it deserves. And in this time of great peril, I do truly believe that the American people are strong enough to stand up to the blatant disregard for the American project from the current White House admin. United we stand, divided we fall.
Again, my name is Zachery Schaftlein, factory worker living in Elizabethtown. That's south of Louisville for the three of you that aren't aware. I'm here today to speak to our elected representatives and my fellow Kentuckians about the dire threat the new administration's policies pose to the economic health of our Commonwealth. This is important to me personally, as my employment is dependent on lumber supply. A lumber supply that Canada contributes to significantly, as they are the largest exporter of soft lumber in the world.
Leave Canada alone!
Also, here in Kentucky, our bourbon industry contributes $9 billion, that is billion with a B, to our Commonwealth's GDP every year. Canada has been the fastest growing export market for this vital industry. Right now, the distillers are terrified. You can look this up on the internet. In 2018, a tariff was enacted by the current administration during their previous term for 10% on exports to Canada. The bourbon industry's sales to Canada declined to 48 million. After the tariff was lifted in July of 2019, that increased back to 54 million. And in 2023, we had recovered to 89 million. This is the fastest growing export market for our economy. Under a capitalist economy, a business has to be able to expand its market share in order to grow. We are killing our distillers with these tariffs. Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, and Andy Beshear are actually all in agreement that these tariffs are BS. What I find interesting is that the representative for the 6th District of Kentucky, right in the heart of Bourbon country, is defending them. So if you are a constituent of the 6th District of Kentucky, I encourage you to call your representative, Andy Barr, and let him know exactly how you feel about the federal government putting their hands on our bourbon. Next, I would like to talk about federal funding. I grew up in Appalachia. I understand the impulse to be skeptical of federal programs. However, I think that it is important that we understand exactly what we are losing with this funding.
Educate people!
Seniors over the age of 60 comprise 23.3% at the population of our Commonwealth. Among them, 17.7% are at risk of experiencing marginal food insecurity. 10.4% are food insecure, with 2.2% facing serious hunger.
Food is a human right.
Yes, food is a human right. 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 The Meals on Wheels program receives federal funding through the Older Americans Act. This program has also been used by our Governor Andy Beshear to feed food-insecure children when they are off school during the summer and do not have access to the school lunches that they depend on for the nutrients they need to grow. I, like many of us, was raised by my parents to respect and assist the elderly and to show compassion for children who cannot feed themselves through no fault of their own.
Why is it an argument to feed children in the first place?
Lastly,
This is evil!
here in Kentucky, we are ranked third in the U.S. for automotive production as of 2022. Approximately 37% of all investments and 24% of jobs announced in the past 5 years in this Commonwealth are a direct result of automotive-related projects, many of which were federally subsidized, like the Blue Oval plant in Glendale that received a $6 billion, again, billion with a B, loan from the Department of Energy. Statewide, more than 100,000 of our workers are directly employed in auto-related manufacturing and service technologies. These facilities are dependent on more than 215 international motor vehicle-related facilities, which support them with the parts they need to make cars. If the president wants to help the Kentucky auto industry with tariffs sincerely, he would be putting tariffs on steel, not finished automobiles.
I actually had a little misspeak here. Rather than saying that he should put a tariff on steels, that should have been reversed. He should be putting a tariff on finished automobiles if he sincerely wants to use tariffs to help Kentucky, while not putting a tariff on steel, as that's something that they will need to build the automobiles.
It's his money he cares about.
He's getting rich off of the taxpayer! But he wants to be senator. And remember that. He's mentally ill!
Terrible human being.
Next, I would like to talk about what our federal employees have been experiencing for the past 2 weeks. This thing's getting heavy. I gotta switch hands. We have approximately 37,000 federal employees here in Kentucky, many of whom are veterans who served honorably in Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam.
Protect Desert Storm!
These men and women, who often are in roles supporting our military, or the most vulnerable groups among us, have suffered nothing less than a full frontal assault on their dignity and mental health for the last 2 weeks by a foreign national who is unelected with business ties to China. That should be a concern for everyone. Deport Musk! Deport Musk!
Deport Musk! Deport Musk! Deport Musk! Deport Musk! Deport Musk! Deport Musk! Deport Musk! Deport Musk!
about our law enforcement officials, many of whom are back there in that Capitol and patrolling right now to make sure that we are safe. The reason that I would like to speak to them specifically is because they too are dependent on federal funding. The Law Enforcement Protection Program enables the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to provide law enforcement agencies access across the state to purchase body armor, duty weapons, ammunition, body cameras, everything that they need to supposedly keep us safe. What I find interesting is that for the past 4 years, this administration has been running against defunding the police. Under the previous administration, that funding was expanded. By freezing federal funding, he's in fact cutting it. This is yet another broken promise to his supporters. These are the things that you need to be talking to about the people in your life who voted for this man. He lied to you.
He's a liar! And a criminal!
So given all this, I think that I am perfectly comfortable saying that when it comes to the economic front, America first means Kentucky last. So I'm calling on all Kentuckians to call the Capitol Hill switchboard, to email your representatives and tell them, keep your hands off our children and elderly's food. Keep your hands off our automotive industry. Keep your hands off our unions.
Keep your hands off women's bodies.
Keep your hands off our women's bodies. Keep your hands off of our federal employees who are heroes, everyone! And oh boy, you better not even think about touching our bourbon. Thank you all for coming out.